The voice of the Braves is our good buddy Chip Caray. Got some thoughts with Atlanta in the NL East. We have some fun. Chip, good to talk. How are you today, pal? Okay?
Dougie, great to see you, man. Doing fantastic. Baseball's around the corner. I can't wait.
Thank goodness for that. A week from Thursday. All right, let's start with the Braves here with this training camp. And obviously, Markakis opts out. Felix Hernandez opts out. Freeman and Will Smith. It's been a little disheveled. What is the status with Freeman and Smith as far as getting ready for a season? We're talking about August. When do you I know it's a little unclear. When's the best hope there to have both those guys back in your team?
Well, I think your guess is as good as mine. And quite obviously, if Freddie Freeman misses significant time, that's a big, big blow to this ball club. Your third hole hitter, gold glove caliber defender, leader of your team. Apparently, he has not yet passed the protocols. Obviously, he's not back in camp yet. But Freddie Freeman's the straw that stirs the Atlanta offensive drink. And without Josh Donaldson, who's now with the Minnesota Twins, not having Freddie Freeman in the lineup is going to be a big, big blow for this team. Obviously, they're without Nick Markakis, who has been one of the most dependable and steady hitters on this club as well. He's opted out. So those are two big holes in the offensive side of things for the Braves ball club. And quite obviously, we want to get him back sooner rather than later. As far as Will Smith is concerned, my understanding is that Will was asymptomatic, but still has not yet passed the protocols. And I don't know if Will is throwing. I don't know if Freddie Freeman is swinging the bat. But Will Smith was brought in to bolster the Braves bullpen, a 30-plus save guy for the Giants. And with the importance of bullpens in the early weeks of the season, not having Will Smith in that bullpen certainly isn't going to be a helpful thing. But I think Alex Anthopoulos is pretty confident with the way his bullpen stacks up with or without Will Smith in the early days of the season. You've got Melanson, you've got Martin, you've got Green, you've got Luke Jackson, who led the team in saves last year. So they feel like I think they've got that covered. But obviously having Will Smith in there as well would be a big, big lift.
And obviously, Puig can help fill the loss of Markakis. Give me some thoughts on signing him in the last 24 hours. What do you see there?
Flyer, yeah, Flyer. Why not? See what he's got left in the tank. Look, Yasiel has a ton of talent. There's no question about it, but it has not been harnessed by anybody he's played for, and I think that's going to be the big challenge for Mr. Puig. Can he come into Atlanta and utilize this 50 or 60 game audition to build his value, kind of like Marcell Ozuna is trying to do? For the Braves, who also came over on a one-year contract. The Braves going into summer camp felt like they were pretty deep in the outfield. All of a sudden, with Markakis being out, not so much so. And if Ozuna is going to be your primary designated hitter, I think the Braves wanted to get more athletic and wanted to get another good defender, a plus defender like Yasiel Puig out there. That said, they also have Adam Duvall. Adam is a remarkable story, a type 1 diabetic who is not at all worried about the coronavirus. He's going to play through it. He's going to try to play through it and follow the protocols. You've got Camargo. You've got Riley, who can also play the outfield, and Ender Inciarte, a gold glover in center field, along with Ronald Acuna. So they've added some depth. They've added some track record in Puig. The question is, will they add baggage too? And only time's going to tell.
And it's interesting about the Braves, too, because, you know, if you play in that Northeast corridor, Yankees, Mets, Phillies, Orioles, Nationals, Red Sox, the travel is pretty fair. Braves are in a little different spot. You know, they're not really have anybody that close to them. So when they go on a road trip and they're going to get in a plane and they're going to go fly an hour or two, a little trickier with them with obviously all the restrictions on a road trip. Let me get your thoughts there. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think you're right, Chris. Whoever comes out of the Eastern divisions is going to be really, really well prepared for postseason play, and the Braves are hoping they'll be fortunate enough to earn one of those tickets to the playoffs. To your point about Markakis being gone, Smith being gone for now, Freddie Freeman being out, the schedule makers did the Braves no favors. They start with 20 consecutive games out of the gate without a day off, and their first 7 games against the Mets and the Tampa Bay Rays, two of the best pitching staffs, two of the best teams in Major League Baseball. So we all have talked so many times about the importance of a good start, the importance of getting out of the gate with a reasonable record. If you come out of the gate 1-6 or 2-5 and you've played 1/10 of your season, that's going to be a really, really big challenge for any team to overcome. So quite obviously, Eastern travel or not, the schedule is going to be a real arduous one for the Braves over the first 3 weeks of the season.
Young pitchers, they don't want to get anybody hurt long term. What's your take here as far as how Snitker works it now? Getting these guys, they need to win the games, but you know you don't want to. You know you got a lot of young guys on that team that you don't want to hurt. So how are you going to handle that? Let me hear.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a good point, Chris. Innings limits were things that everybody was worried about for guys like Mike Soroka and Max Fried, who pitched more innings last year than they ever had. Obviously, with the layoff in only 60 games, innings limits will not be a consideration for either one of those guys. They'll be good to go. Mike Soroka is going to be the youngest opening day starter in the history of the Braves franchise. He's the first starter not named Julio Teheran to start opening day since Tim Hudson back in
Mm.
2013. And he earned that. I mean, Mike Soroka
Wow.
is on the cusp of being a great, great pitcher. Max Fried won 17 games last year. Atlanta feels very confident about him. You've got Mike Fultonevich in the third spot with Felix Fernandez opting out. Sean Newcomb's your fourth. And then I guess the question mark is who fills that fifth spot for Atlanta. They feel like they have a ton of young talent in their farm system. They've got guys like Josh Tomlin, Chris Russin, Tuki Toussaint when he comes back from coronavirus, Kyle Wright, Bryce Wilson, who can fill that role as well. But Brian Snitker has said, we'll be very careful. We'll piggyback guys if we need to. It's going to be building guys up as the season starts. And he's also not discounted the opportunity to maybe use an opener like Tampa Bay did to get some guys over the hump. And one big reason for that is we don't know when Cole Hamels is going to come back. Remember, Hamels had a shoulder problem and was going to miss the start of the regular season back in March. Hamels is dealing with some triceps tendonitis. He was supposed to make a side session the other day, didn't do that. So how far behind he is and how many innings he'll be able to pitch, if at all, at the start of the season remains to be seen.
You know, it's funny. Last thing, Chip, about the Braves, you know, they have had trouble in these first rounds. That was a rough game 5 last year to St. Louis, a series they were really basically about 4 or 5 outs away from winning in game 4. They had the bad game
Right.
5. And you figured this team would really have a scenario where they chomping at the bit to get that off their backs. And obviously in a 60-game season, a little bit like the Astros in a different way, who cares now about the scenario with them? And now with the Braves, they're not dealing with the issue of, you know, having had trouble in the first round. It's like a 60-game sprint. Play the games. And I don't think anybody's going to
Exactly.
think about
And I think you
Atlanta
used a
last
great
year's series
analogy.
against St. Louis.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
think you used a great analogy. The Braves haven't won a first-round playoff series since 2001. They want to get that monkey off their back. And I think you've seen in sports, sometimes you have to learn how not to lose before you understand what you have to do to win. And you're exactly right, Chris. They lost that series in game 4. I think they had the bases loaded and runners in scoring position in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings of game 4 with a chance to put that series away and didn't. And so for Brian Snitker at his club, going back to spring training 1.0, the theme was unfinished business. This team's good. This team's really good. They know how good they are. They know they're starting to open a window where they can be very good for a long period of time. But to get there, they've got to have a good regular season. They've got to take that first step and advance in the playoffs. And anything else, I think, will be a big disappointment for them this year.
But I think it's an advantage because in this kind of unique year, nobody's going to give them a hard time. So this team, I think, kind of goes into the year with a clean slate like they may have not if they started April 1st. Don't you agree with that or no?
Yeah, it could be. But I think Brian Snitker is so good at leading this team and so good at leading his organization that last year was last year. The slate's clean, blank canvas for everybody. You got to go out, as you said, and play the games and win the games. I mean, Brian Snitker has done a remarkable job for this ball club and taking over for Freddie Gonzalez and where the organization was. He is such a steady hand. He is so concerned about his players' well-being. He's concerned about the organization. This guy is a Brave. He's a lifer. He gets it. He understands that there's much bigger pictures than just winning baseball games. But make no mistake about it, he feels like he has a team that can do a lot of really good things this regular season. He's got a talented club. They love playing for him. He loves leading them. And as you said, it's time to just go play the games and see where the chips fall.
Good job, Chip. We'll talk along the way. Have a good start to the season. Thanks for a few minutes here. Always a pleasure.
Okay, Chris, anytime. See you soon.